shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
It's another messy start out there. Cloudy skies, some scattered light rain. I'll let you know if you'll run into it on your morning commute.
And this morning, we're staying on top of developments in Charlie Kirk's death. A manhunt is underway after the political activist was killed in Utah. Where that investigation stands this morning. And remembering 9/11, today marks 24 years since the terror attack on U.S. soil. How people in the Triangle plan to honor those who died on that day. Hello, everyone. I'm Renee Chu. This morning, we're following those two big stories, the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk and marking 24 years since the 9/11 attack. We are also tracking light rain in the Triangle this morning. Let's begin with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner.
So you remember yesterday we started off with some light showers. We're seeing the same thing, a little bit more coverage than yesterday, but it's still not everywhere. Mainly from the Triangle area along the I-95 corridor and down toward Fayetteville. That's where we're seeing just a little patchy light rain. When I came into work this morning, I did have to run the windshield wipers a little bit, and I even walked in with an umbrella. So you can see here that little patch. It's moving through parts of Wake County along the I-95 corridor north of Smithfield up toward Rocky Mount and Wilson and down toward Fayetteville. That's where we're seeing some of the showers. 30% chance this morning. Once we get closer to lunchtime, the rain should taper off some, and we might see a few breaks in the clouds. This kind of pattern is very slow to break down, so I'm not sure how many of us may see some sunshine later on today, but by tomorrow we should. It is wet in downtown Raleigh as we take a look at down Fayetteville Street from our Jimmy V camera. Temperatures are in the mid-60s, and so is the dew point, and we're seeing that really everywhere. Everybody's walking out the door with these mid-60s and the cloudy skies. If we see a little sunshine this afternoon, we should climb up into the low 80s. We'll talk about whether or not we'll see rain lingering into the weekend coming up.
We are staying on top of the latest developments in the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come.
Authorities say the shooter is still at large. Over 13 hours after the shooting, vigils were held in honor of Kirk across the country last night, including at Utah's state capitol in Salt Lake City and at the hospital where he was rushed to and died. Kirk was shot in the neck while hosting an event for his American Comeback Tour at Utah Valley University. In a joint statement, the FBI and the Utah Public Safety Department called the shooting a targeted attack. FBI Director Kash Patel announced late last night a second person questioned in the shooting has been released. One man who was just 15 feet away says Kirk had just been asked about mass shootings when the shot was fired.
As soon as he got done answering the question, we heard a loud pop. He got hit in the left side of his neck and dropped. We all dropped. His security dragged him out of there, and we just ran.
This morning, we're learning Utah Valley University's campus will remain closed through Monday. President Trump shared a video on Truth Social reacting to Kirk's death, saying the radical left is to blame.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today. To my great fellow Americans.
Trump said his administration will find anyone who contributed to this shooting and other political violence. Coming up in 10 minutes, we will look at what this shooting tells us about the larger picture of political violence in our country. This morning, we're also working to learn more about a Colorado high school student who authorities say opened fire, shooting 2 other students. Last night, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office confirmed that the shooter, a juvenile male, died of his injuries. Officials say the shooting happened yesterday afternoon at Evergreen High School. That's about 30 miles west of Denver. All 3 students were taken to the hospital. One is still in critical condition. The other is listed as stable. No word on what led to the gunfire. Today marks 24 years since the September 11th attacks, and this is a live look at the memorial in New York City. Local groups are using this day as a day of remembrance and reflection. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is live at Carter Finley Stadium, where people will be taking part in a stair climb to honor the fallen. Sean.
Yeah, that's right, Renee. This will be the third year that NC State's ROTC is hosting this event, where they will go inside Carter Finley Stadium here behind me in just a couple of hours and ascend those steps in a somber tribute to those who lost their lives that day. Now, it's a heavy way to remember the fallen. Each step a reminder of the sacrifice hundreds of first responders made that day, running into danger to try and save lives. Nearly 350 firefighters and more than 70 officers died that day, and even more have died since from illnesses attributed to the exposure to toxic dust and debris they inhaled there on Ground Zero. And on our darkest day, it's in our nation's history. Today's Memorial Stair Climb is a chance for those participants to put themselves in the shoes of those heroes who selflessly climbed flight after flight that day in New York City. Now, it's one of several tributes in our area today. There will be a very similar climb in Chapel Hill at Keenan Memorial Stadium, where they plan to climb some 2,071 steps to symbolize the 110 flights those firefighters ascended 24 years ago today. In Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
This morning, Governor Josh Stein will join the National Guard for a 9/11 memorial ceremony. That ceremony will include a formal wreath laying honoring the state's National Guard soldiers and airmen who lost their lives in the War on Terror. That's happening at 8:15 at the North Carolina National Guard Joint Force Headquarters here in Raleigh. We have a full list of 9/11 remembrances across the area today. You can find that on WRAL.com or the WRAL News app. With scattered showers in our area this morning, we want to give people a better idea of what they might experience when they're heading out this morning on the roads. Allie Kadlubar is in the WRAL Storm Tracker this morning. And Allie, what are you seeing right now?
Renee, I would say scattered showers is the right word because we've been seeing rain throughout the morning, and right now we're seeing some sprinkles here, some light rain. We're approaching Hillsborough Street right now, about to hop on I-40, and so of course we're going to keep you updated throughout the morning. Right now we're seeing some ponding on the roads, but not too bad for your morning commute. Of course, we're going to keep you updated. Reporting live in the Storm Tracker, Allie Kadlubar, WRAL News.
They will be wetter conditions than we've been used to. A state employee has died in an apparent drowning while working on the coast. Deputies say this happened at Turnagain Bay in Carteret County. They say Division of Marine Fisheries employee Mark Hamrick was gathering water samples with colleagues. Their boat drifted away from one of his coworkers. Hamrick jumped in the water, tried to swim to shore to get help, but he was pulled under. This morning, a new report will give us an idea of if and when the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates this year. The Consumer Price Index measures price changes for the goods and services we buy every day. The CPI for August is expected to show higher levels of inflation, but that's not expected to stop the Federal Reserve from dropping rates at next week's meeting. This report is set to be released at 8:30 this morning. The man accused of killing a former Wake County principal remains in jail this morning after he was denied bond. Erica Lucas spent more than 2 decades as an educator in Wake County, and Dexter Mills faces a murder charge. He is one of 2 people in custody accused of killing Lucas. His 16-year-old cousin is the other suspect. Police say Lucas was shot at a Wake Forest home nearly 2 weeks ago, and investigators say she was not the intended target. People across the community are remembering Lucas's life. She worked within the Wake County public school system between 1991 and 2022. People who worked with her tell WRAL she was an admired educator. The assistant principal at Millbrook High School spoke about his experience working with Lucas.
This was a woman who loved her community, who loved her family, and who gave every ounce of herself to be sure that people were better in her presence.
He tells WRAL his thoughts are with the Lucas family, and right now they wish to grieve her privately. A Lee County man is behind bars this morning facing numerous domestic violence charges. Police say they responded to Sutherland Drive on Monday around noon about a domestic disturbance with a firearm. A woman and 2 children were found at the home. Following a search warrant, Eugenio Apollonio Mendoza was taken into custody with no bond. Starting tonight, the Melbourne Road exit at I-440 in Raleigh will close for repair work. The closure runs from 10 this evening to 5 tomorrow morning. There will be a detour in place taking you around each side of the closure. Political violence concerns. The recent death of commentator Charlie Kirk has reignited the discussion about political violence. The recent polling that shows where North Carolinians and the rest of the country stand on this issue. National vape crackdown. U.S. Marshals raided vape stores and distribution centers across the country. What they were able to find, including millions of dollars in illegal products. And we are tracking scattered rain this morning. This is the live look over downtown Apex. You can see it looks very damp out there. Just ahead, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner gives us a closer look at who will be seeing wet conditions this morning.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:43. We're dealing with light patchy rain again, especially from Raleigh eastward, really all along the I-95 corridor as far west as I-85. So Raleigh, Durham, over toward Goldsboro, Wilson, Rocky Mount, down toward our southern counties as well. It's a 30% chance. So that number means that's how much coverage we're seeing across the area. So not everybody's seeing it, but there's definitely some scattered rain out there for us this morning. The hope is that we'll begin to clear a little bit later on this afternoon. The models typically don't handle this pattern very well, so we may end up with a good bit of cloud cover for today, especially in our eastern counties. We take a live look at downtown Raleigh. When I drove through Raleigh earlier this morning, the rain was coming down out there. So sprinkles, drizzle across parts of the viewing area up until around lunchtime. And then if we see some thinning of the clouds this afternoon, we should climb it to around 81. But there are definitely going to be some kids who have to stand out at the bus stop this morning that will be happy to have a raincoat or an umbrella.
Elizabeth, thank you. The assassination of Charlie Kirk comes after a surge in threats and attacks against political figures this year. Senator Thom Tillis received death threats earlier this year. And earlier this summer, a Minnesota lawmaker was targeted, shot, and killed at her home. Recent data shows acts like these are exactly the type of violence North Carolinians are worried about. A 2024 Elon University poll ahead of the election found political violence is a top concern.
What we found in 2024 was 74% of North Carolinians were at least somewhat to very concerned about violence breaking out. What we've seen today is, even though this is arguably not election-related violence, the election's fairly far removed, but it's still a violence against a political figure, is that the majority of North Carolinians were right to be worried.
Despite the North Carolina opposition, an NPR poll from around the same time shows that 1 in 5 adults across the country believe Americans may have to resort to violence to get their own country back on track. Professor Jason Husser also says he hopes political leaders will take this moment to unite people in opposition to violence. The NCAA has banned 3 college basketball players over betting. 3 players who played for Fresno State have lost their eligibility permanently. They are accused of betting on games and providing information to others. One player is accused of planning to purposely underperform in his games. None of the players collected more than a few $1,000s in their bets. Federal agents seized hundreds of thousands of illegal vapes during a raid of retailers and distributors across the country. The FDA says one raid near Chicago led to the seizure of at least 600,000 illegal vaping products. The retail value for that, over $14 million. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the vaping products they seized are being marketed to kids.
Parents, talk to your children. These things seized right here today. Watermelon ice. Targeting a child?
The distributor says it is fully cooperating with authorities. The statement says many of the seized products have applications that have been pending with the FDA for years. The WRAL documentary team has investigated a dozen stores in Wake County to see if they would sell vapes to young people. Watch Gen V Teen Vaping in North Carolina on WRAL.com. It is in the documentary section. It is 4:47 now, and we are seeing light rain all across the Triangle. As I was driving in on the Beltline, my windshield wipers were going, and it was creating some wet conditions and certainly took it slow during the morning commute. The question is, how long will this rain last? Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what we'll see in the next few hours.
It's definitely going to be inconvenient, kind of messy for the morning commute. And then, like Renee said, the question is, will we actually see some sunshine later this afternoon? Oftentimes, when we have this particular pattern, it can be hard to get rid of the moist air that's in place, but we do do have a low pressure system that should start to pull away from us. And when it does, that should allow some sunshine to begin to peek through this afternoon. And if it does, we should climb back into the low 80s. But it's definitely going to be messy in the morning, especially for, say, the Triangle area eastward. Our western counties are probably not going to see any rain this morning because this is a coastal system. So here's what we're looking at. You can see some patchy light rain, especially east of I-95. And then once we get back down to, say, parts of Nash County and Wilson County, we're seeing the rain stretching back all the way to Wake County and then down toward Fayetteville. But again, for Raleigh northward and westward, we're not seeing rain. And those are going to be the first places that start to clear out. As a matter of fact, it may be that west of Raleigh, we see some sunshine this afternoon while we continue to hold on to the cloud cover east of I-95. So that's what we're looking at this morning. If some of you are going to need to take along a raincoat or umbrella, but not everybody. Here's a look at Futurecast as we take it on out through the morning. Notice that the rain begins to taper off a little bit, and Futurecast does try to clear things out back to the west, but it may just be back to the west. We take a look at downtown Raleigh here. Of course, it's wet on Fayetteville Street. That's a look from our Jimmy V camera. Our temperatures will be in the 60s almost until lunchtime. We did make it into the mid-70s yesterday. This morning, as you're heading out the door, we're looking at mid-60s, 66 in Fuquay Arena, 65 in Morrisville and in Knightdale. Around town today, our temperatures are likely to climb into the low 80s in places where the sun is able to break out. And again, that's more likely from the Triangle area westward. Now, I feel more confident Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that we'll see sunshine and temperatures will be up closer to normal. NC State plays at Wake Forest, and of course, that's going to be one of the areas that we should see some clearing. We should see partly cloudy skies at game time. That game should go off without a hitch. And as I mentioned, the weekend is looking pretty good. Temperatures should be in the low to mid 80s with sunny skies. As a matter of fact, this morning may be our best chance of rain, but we do have a small chance again Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We'll talk more about that in a bit.
And we'll be on an 80s streak. All right, Elizabeth, thank you. Pharma job cuts. Novo Nordisk plans to lay off thousands of workers. What this could mean for their investments in North Carolina. Plus, signs of life. New rock samples have the strongest evidence of former life on Mars. How colorful spots on the red planet's surface could lead to further discoveries. Novo Nordisk says all of its major projects will continue despite a cost-cutting plan that includes about 9,000 layoffs worldwide. The company plans to increase its investment in its diabetes and obesity drugs. Facilities in Clayton and Durham both make and package those drugs. We asked about local impact. A spokesperson said in a statement that Novo Nordisk is not able to share specific numbers about operations in North Carolina until plans are finalized. However, all major ongoing projects are expected to continue. Novo Nordisk broke ground last year on an expansion of its Clayton facility that promises to create 1,000 jobs. Two Oscar-winning stars reunite in a new thriller, and the stars of Downton Abbey say goodbye. Here's Rick Damagello with the Hollywood Minute.
AWTGG. What does it mean?
Are we the good guys?
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck reunite. The Oscar-winning duo play a pair of Miami cops who stumble upon a massive amount of cash during a raid in The Rip. This is your first look at the crime thriller, which arrives on Netflix in January.
Families like ours must keep moving to survive.
The cast of Downton Abbey bid farewell. The new film Downton Abbey, the grand finale, marks the end of the beloved franchise, which first premiered in 2010. For star Michelle Dockery, it marks the end of an era.
It's been a huge part of my life. I've met my greatest friends over the last 15 years, and I've really enjoyed playing Mary.
Downton Abbey, the grand finale, lands in theaters on Friday.
What else is there that I don't know about?
We got to have each other's backs. Family first.
Patricia Arquette's dramatic new turn. The actress plays a mother trying to hide the crimes of her wealthy brood in Murdoch, Death in the Family. Jason Clarke also stars in the Hulu miniseries, which is based on a true story and premieres October 15th. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
NASA's rover on Mars may have found the strongest sign of past life yet, a rock sample that could hold ancient microbes. NASA's Perseverance rover found the rock. It's made out of clay and silt, which is great for preserving signs of microbes. The rover also found colorful mineral spots that are often created by tiny life forms. Scientists have spent the past year checking the data, and right now everything points to life once existing on Mars.
do we think this is signs of ancient life on Mars? And after a year of review, they've come back and they said, listen, we can't find another explanation. So this very well could be the clearest sign of life that we've ever found on Mars.
Sounds like they're leaning toward yes. This is one of 27 rock samples that NASA's Perseverance rover collected. Scientists say each one could lead to more clues about life on the red planet. It is 4:56. Charlie Kirk's death. A manhunt is underway after the murder of the political commentary figure. Reactions from lawmakers this morning with concerns over recent political violence. And we're tracking what could be a wet commute. This is a live look from the WRAL storm tracker. We are seeing light, patchy rain across the viewing area. We'll bring you real-time road conditions as you head out the door. And remembering 9/11, today marks 24 years since the terror attack. How local groups plan to honor lives lost and the first responders who showed so much courage on that day.